Let's do this. Hey, it's Haas, and this is a Dead Sprint Spike. First off, happy Mother's Day to all the moms who show up every day, especially when it's hard. This one's for you. And especially to my mom and my wife, two women who know what it means to sacrifice, hustle, and love in a way that leaves no room for quitting. And speaking of my mom, you're going to pivot a little bit. It's about to get a little personal, y'all. So just bear with me. My mom raised three boys by herself. She didn't just work two jobs. She was hustling before hustling had a name. Office job by day, factory job by night, sold food to her coworkers, drove them to work and back like Uber before Uber was even a thing. All while my dad would come back into our lives every so often, every few years with his old country mentality and nonsense. He'd criticize her for working so much, for being out there in front of strangers and other men. Like survival was something she should be ashamed of. She had no choice. Even her brother, who, by the way, had money. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He had good amounts of money. And one day he called her selfish, amongst other things that he called her, for being out all day while never lifting a finger to help. Yes, he'd show up once in a while and tell us boys, hey, make sure you listen to your mom, or he'd show up with a cake or something once in a while, invite us to dinner or lunch, but yeah, she had to do it all by herself. Even when she was sick, even when she was sad, even when she was crying. I remember one day, my uncle showed up to our house when my mom was sitting in her bed with my two younger brothers. I am 9 and 11 years older than my brothers. At that time, they were 5 and 3. And my uncle showed up with the rest of his family, gloating, talking about their weekend in Atlantic City, how they did all these different things that they haven't tried before, how they lost so much money that weekend. And at the very end of it, my uncle turned to my mom and said, "Do you need anything?" And she just smiled and said, "No, thank you. I appreciate you for coming and stopping by." That day, I walked up to my mom later on in the day and I said to her, "Is there anything I can do?" Because I felt bad for my mom. She was sick. She couldn't do anything. I was grabbing drinks, medicine, food, whatever I can do as a 14-year-old at the time to help out. And she looked at me and she said, "No, there's nothing you can do, but thank you." And then she started crying. And I just felt like I wanted to do something. And I didn't know what. So I just put on my shoes, put on my coat, put on my scarf in the middle of winter, and I walked the streets of Kearney, New Jersey. I went to pizzerias, bakery shops, floral shops, mechanics, Subway sandwich shops, whatever was open that day. And I asked, "Do you have a job for me? Can I do anything?" And again, 14 years old. And of course, nobody's going to hire a 14-year-old just like that. I mean, they used to back in the day, but during that time, um, things were starting to change. And it wasn't easy to get paid under the table, as we say. But here I am trying to find a job. No resume, no direction, just a kid trying to step up. Now, don't get me wrong. My mom could be dramatic, and she's certainly earned it over the years. But she would say things like, "I'm raising three men, not boys." I was 14. My brothers were 5 and 3. So maybe applicable to me. I don't know about my two younger brothers, but it is what it is. And yeah, she had her neurotic streak. And she didn't believe in therapy. As a matter of fact, I remember when I started going to therapy in my 30s, she would say things like, "Let me talk to your doctor. I want to tell him about the things that are wrong with you when you were a baby." She meant when I was younger, not when I was a baby. But she said it as if she was doing both of us a favor. But you know what? She was trying. And when she could be free, when she can just be a person, not a parent, she used to take us to concerts, shows, events, and so on. She danced, she sang, she laughed, and she just let loose. And it was just her, me, my brothers, sometimes some of her friends. And for a couple of hours, we could just breathe. I think that's why when my daughter was born, everything changed. You see, when my dad left us when I was 12 years old, I saw a version of my mom that I've never seen before. A version that once told me, if I don't take care of you and raise you, who will? So I realized that I can be the kind of man who walks away when things got hard. I couldn't be my father. Now, don't read too much into this. Let me just explain. I love my dad. I wish he was still around today. My dad was a good guy at heart. My dad really tried his best. And fortunately for him, his best was nowhere near where my mom was. And I can confidently say it's nowhere near where my best is. So, but I do love my dad and I miss him every single day. And I wish he was around. But I'm thankful for my mother every day. With that said, I had to be the version of my mom that showed up even when she had nothing left. Because that's what love looks like. In my very first episode, I talked about giving up and walking away when things got tough. I gave up on jobs, friends, relationships, events, things that I really wanted in my life, but I was too afraid to do them because I was too afraid to fail, because I didn't have confidence in myself. As a matter of fact, when I shared with some of my friends a long time ago that I wanted to go into either consulting or adventure that I was really attracted to, something that I felt very good about doing, some of them would say, well, there's already too many people doing that. What makes you any different? And it was a legitimate question. I just didn't know how to answer it. Or to be even more transparent, I didn't want to answer it because it fed into my fears and my self doubt. Now, this makes me think about my daughters. I think about their dreams and their aspirations. What if one of my daughters said, I want to become a singer or a musician? What if the other one said, I want to be an artist or a writer? Do I tell them there are enough singers in the world? Artists, writers, doctors, judges? Would I tell them to give up on a dream just because someone else is already doing it and there's too many out there? No. I tell them to do it in their own voice. As a matter of fact, that is what I do tell them right now. Do it in your own voice. Do it in your own way. So, shouldn't I say that to myself as well? And that is actually my answer now. That's been my answer for any kind of situation like this in the last 10 years. When someone asks, why you? Aren't there too many agile coaches out there? Yeah. But you know what? No one knows how to do it better than me, in my opinion. Yeah, there are really good coaches out there, but I know I can do a great job. I know that I connect with people. I know that I can tell you why Agile works. I know that I can tell you why things work and why have things worked for me in the past. You and I can have the same recipe to the same dish, but I am more confident in myself that my dish is going to come out a lot better than yours because I put the time and effort and I failed one too many times to know exactly when to cook, how to cook, how at the right temperature, everything. Now, let's bring it back full circle, deviate a little bit. People think Agile is about frameworks, sprints, stand ups, metrics. But what Agile really taught me, what it gave me, was a way not to give up on myself, to inspect, to adapt, to try again. Agile didn't fix me, but it gave me the structure to start fixing myself. It gave me a framework to fail and say that's okay and still move forward. Because if I were to give up on myself or something I care about, I'm not just walking away from a challenge. I'm cheating myself out of the person that I could be or should be. And I've done that too many times before. I've abandoned things not because I didn't love them, but because I didn't believe I was worth it. And that's what Agile gave me, a reason to try again. And a reminder that progress does not come from perfection, does not happen overnight. It comes from showing up, because failure is not a dead end. It's feedback. So today, on Mother's Day, this one's for the women who raised us when quitting wasn't an option, for leaders, parents, coaches who keep showing up, even when they want to disappear. And for anyone out there thinking about giving up on their dreams, their voices, their purpose, please don't. Because remember this, you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it honestly. And speaking from experience, someone had to tell me the same thing before I started this podcast, and I'm just going to keep doing it. Just like you should keep doing what you want to do, one iteration at a time. This was a Dead Sprint Spike. I'm Haas, and I'm not done yet.